Okay, this is next O-gauge update, scenery basically. So you saw this on my last video. These are the plastic plants that come in a $2.75 Canadian square foot. And then you can pop these off of there and cut them into rows, which is what I did. And I mean, you can do whatever with this stuff. It's cheap and I like how it looks. So I'm gonna come back to this in a second. So basically I use hot glue to attach it all to this side. And then what's gonna happen is I've got that masonite, hardboard is what we call it, already cut. Some for in there, and in there being the end scale. And then basically I put a row on this side to cut it to the shape with my Makita cutout tool. And then this triangle is all glued. This one is hot glued, so the foam's hot glued to the wood, and then the grass is hot glued to the foam. And I put a quick coat of latex paint on it. So this one I mixed the two. This is another kind of fake grass that they have. This stuff is hard as a rock. I didn't glue this triangle because I measured it perfectly, but the track that here doesn't have a cork under it, so I got to make sure because I might have to trim. I don't want locomotives getting damaged. But tell me what you think of how it looks. I think it looks awesome. And then I can still I can still plant some other bushes or whatever in the other areas. And then basically I cut it into rows and then hot glued it. I ran out, so I put this car here or a truck or whatever. This guy will be rail fanning. And yeah, like this is like, it looks like giant 4-leaf clovers, but in this case it's a bush. And you know, I just tried to mix it up with some different shapes. Okay, now on to this thing. So this is recycled tires in the brown color. Comes brown, black in my stores. You can also get light gray. And I thought at first, okay, well maybe I'll use it for ballast. It's a little too big for that. Kind of gives you an idea. Some of the chunks say Goodyear or whatever, like a G. So I sorted out some of the bigger chunks and then I put it on here with a little scoop that's the size of between the rails. And then last night what I did was I poured on half of it on the bottom yellow carpenter's glue. And then I put the row on top of the rubber rocks and then basically took carpenter's glue and alcohol and mixed it and then poured it all over this. And what I'll tell you is it's pretty loose. So this carpenter's glue nowadays it's not cheap, and that's kind of, you know, what you would think is the cheapest. School glue is the cheapest, but it doesn't work. That's worse than this. More watered down is what school glue is. So over here on this half, I put down my favorite Mod Podge, and it's from Dollarama. And guess what? It's not perfect, but it is way better. This over here, this high, because I kept going in layers. So basically, I brushed on Mod Podge, put the rubber down, and then mixed 50-50. So it's basically a quarter water, a quarter alcohol, and 50% Mod Podge, roughly, maybe 40%. And then brushed it over and over like I was baking or something, and glazing this up. And it is basically, it's not exactly hard yet, but it's got that kind of rubbery texture. Now, if you look on the internet, what you're supposed to use is CA, which is super glue. Could you imagine how expensive a little super glue would be for this whole thing? So the only thing that I think is going to work better is hot glue. And I'm going to try that in this area and see how that comes out. What I pretty much decided is I'm going to do the aquarium gravel on these rows. And because it's a girls layout, I'm thinking, why not do bright pink or something like that, bright neon. And then it glows in the dark as a double bonus. We'll see what happens. So if I do plain, it'll be black because I want it to look basically well used. So, all right, I'll leave it at that, and we'll give you the next update when we have it.